The never-ending downfall of Brendanschaub นะครับ
Brendanschaub is in a never-ending downward spiral. It seems he can't go any lower. Until he does. His post-UFC career has been a never-ending downfall that I thought culminated in the worst comedy special of all time. A special
MMA
that was so bad that the mention of it leads to laughter and not in a good way.
You mean the Arlington where Gringo Poppy was filmed?
Wait, is that where that was filmed?
Is it?
Steve-O.
How do you know that? How do you know that was filmed there?
I was fascinated by the entire
Just when you think things can't go worse for him, they inevitably do, and it always seems to be his own fault. You thought bullying Bobby Lee was bad. How about him being the butt of every joke in the MMA and comedy space? Or how about working with deviants at best, criminals at worst? Or when he hired a mentally unstable employee, fired said employee, only for that man to expose literally everything about Brendan's life, including his bathroom habits, substance addictions, and infidelity. Despite all of this chaos,
actually leaked.
in recent times it seems Brendan is in the worst place a comedian can be in, fading into irrelevance. But let's rewind a bit.
It's rewind.
Brendan is, first and foremost, in his own words, a comedian. But his ticket sales have been looking a bit dicey lately. I mean, look at his UK tour. The gray means sold, by the way. Brendan is constantly having to cancel shows for whatever reason he makes up that's not being a draw. Basically, he can't sell tickets and has to lie about it. Schaub once said he had to cancel a show in San Francisco because the district attorney got recalled right before his show was about to begin.
The DA got recalled, and he's like, "You thought crime was bad before?" He goes, "People aren't going out like our restaurants."
Really?
These San Fran streets are too dangerous. Ignore the fact that the Warriors had their championship parade right after he said this. It couldn't be the fact that most people think he's the worst comedian on the planet right now. But unfortunately, it is his own fault. And I know comedy is subjective, but Brendan stinks at comedy. Unless he's stealing jokes.
You know what my favorite food is? Fajitas. I love fajitas. They bring them out.
Oh no.
And it is loud.
Stealing jokes.
Smoke. It's like 4th of July. Everyone's like, oh my God. What is that? What the fuck is that?
I go to Chili's and order fajitas. You know what I'm talking about. You order those fajitas, it's like popping. Like those fajitas hit the floor, it's all. And you're like, what the fuck? Come on. Right here, right here.
He sucks so much that even his Make-A-Wish sponsor, Joe Rogan, won't let him play at his comedy club. Look how uncomfortable Brendan gets when somebody brings up Rogan's club, Comedy Mothership.
Have you been to Rogan's new place in
He just called me and
Austin.
asked me to come and do a weekend there.
People love it.
Brendan is somehow more of a joke in the MMA world. Brendan makes his predictions based on the fact he was a UFC fighter. On his show, Brendan will make predictions about UFC fights. And if you disagree with him, he'll make you feel stupid.
I just don't know how to bet against the Dagestani who gets you on the ground and just rains elbows and you're not able to stand up. Because I would probably say in many ways, he's Khabib 2.0.
Not true. I'll keep going.
And his striking is actually very, very good.
Really? Cool. Let me ask you this. Who's the best guy he's beat? And I've done this to people that know the game too.
Yeah.
When I asked you earlier, why Makhachev, right?
Yeah.
And then I say, tell me the best guy he's beat. You can't. There's been he's not proven yet.
Well,
in
he's
any
only
facet.
lost once in that entire. That's a lot. That's a good run right there.
But I go back to who has he beat. When we're talking about tip of the spear. Yeah.
So somebody put together a list of all of Schaub's predictions. In 23 fights, if you put $100 against every single person Brendan picked, you would be up $2,000. One of the top MMA shows right now, Morning Combat, makes constant references to the Fighter and the Kids subreddit, a forum that's dedicated to making fun of and exposing Brendan.
Is he walking me to my truck? What are you like? Where's he going? Like,
why would he be walking you to your truck, BC?
I don't know. I'm not going to blow him. I mean, Luke, if the local DA gets removed at all leading up to this, would you consider not going?
I don't even know what does that mean?
For safety purposes, Luke, that's all that means. But I had Ralphos Juan Charles, and it was just, it was carne asada. and it was great. It was crazy.
Not only that, but Brendan's one and only saving grace in this
Theo?
world, his co-host Theo Vaughn, left him.
I'm going to be taking a step back from being on King and the Sting. I just want to thank you guys for just being a part of my life and letting this show be a part of your life. And, you know,
We just left the show.
appreciate it.
You just gotta handle some shit, brother. You know, there's a bigger thing for you out there, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly, man.
My favorite part about this is Brendan framing it as Theo has to get his life together. He has to sort some stuff out. But since leaving Brendan, Theo's been absolutely killing it.
But a huge win tonight. He celebrates with the red Theo Vaughn.
For old times, I should have done this in the middle of the show, but for old times, do we maybe want to eat a hot chip?
I mean, I'm down.
I don't want that.
Okay.
So now he's stuck with 2 alleged sex offenders and Montez from Workaholics to run his mediocre podcasts with. His
Allegedly, huh?
His main co-host, Brian Callen, also collaborates with Husband of the Year, Steven Crowder, to create gems like this.
What is actually
It's comedic
happening?
gold, what can I say? But despite working with such titans, Brendan's finances must have been dicey, as he's had to fire multiple employees. But the one we're going to focus on today is Mark Harley, or as the subreddit calls him, the Big Gay Lion, or just BGL for short, who was known as Brendan's handler. He would do a lot of Brendan's social media, go on tour with him, and help out with the podcasts. This man was known for being completely unhinged, as documented by the subreddit, and theories circled around that if he quit or Brendan fired him, he would turn on Brendan. Of course, that ended up happening, and things came to fruition when Mark was let go and proceeded to absolutely expose Brendan Schaub for everything. It started with a few stray shots on Instagram, then a post on the Fighter and the Kids subreddit, which was met with some hesitation from the users, as they knew Mark was completely unhinged. But slowly, Mark started to reveal his true intentions. He started leaking messages between him and Brendan, while simultaneously exposing what a bad guy Brendan was.
Brendan pisses and sinks.
Yeah,
This was all
it's
confirmed by this voice memo Brendan sent him after he'd leaked all this stuff.
What's up, brother?
That is actually kind of bad. How do you want to do that?
Decided not to text you. I don't, you know, for a few reasons. I don't know, man. I've been contemplating whether hitting you back up. You seem really upset, obviously. I'm hurt, man. If you wanted to hurt me, you got me, brother. You definitely got me.
But Mark wasn't satisfied with just shit-talking Brendan, so he did an official AMA on the Fighter and the Kids subreddit where all of Brendan's dirty laundry was aired. Keep in mind, this is to a community whose sole goal is to make fun of Brendan. It's really like finding a diamond in a coal mine. Now, something that's not going to ruin your life, in fact, it's going to make your life a lot better, is the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. It's the Lawnmower 4.0 that comes in this performance razor I've ever used. Now, the whole AMA is on Reddit if you want to read it, but I'm just going to talk about some of the funniest parts. The number one thing he did was confirm what we all knew. Brendan contributes literally zero to the production apart from sitting down and attempting to talk to a camera. He also confirmed that Brendan is a pathological liar, but as I said, we all kind of knew this.
Chandler actually died a few days ago.
And I've never seen that Blackfish
He's gonna
documentary, so I didn't, you know, I was like, whatever. There was one big killer whale. I haven't seen the dog before I went to SeaWorld.
You remember Blackfish? Did you guys watch Blackfish on CNN?
Sure did. Ruined SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you watch Blackfish from the Depression, their fins are down. And I looked at my girl, I go, hold up. I've never seen this dog. Yeah. I'm ignorant to it.
Yeah.
But you've seen the dog and you still allow us to go to SeaWorld? Yeah, I go, that's fucked up.
What we didn't know is he apparently lies to everybody in his life no matter what.
He's vaping. I go, oh, you know those are worse for you than cigarettes. And he goes, what the fuck you just say? I go, you know the vape's actually worse for you than cigarettes. He goes, who told you that? I'm like, oh, it's just what they say. He's like, who says that? I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. He was vaping. He goes, my doctor said these, he smoked cigarettes. He goes, my doctor said these are actually better for you. I go, they're not. He goes, how do you know? I go, fucking Google it, dude. They're not. He goes, really? I go, no, you fucking threw in the trash.
This is the story.
He also said Brendan bought views for the Gringo Poppy. Also, the reason I'm censoring this word is because YouTube nuked my prior Brendan Schaub video, citing extreme profanity when I said this word, even though it's literally the title of Brendan's special on YouTube. So he bought views to get it to 1 million, which if you didn't know, completely fucks your channel in the algorithm. YouTube says, wait, why are 30% of the people watching this in Bangladesh? Mark also said he bought followers on Twitter and Instagram, which is
That's kind of weird.
why his engagement rates are completely fucked. I mean, I can tweet this out and get more likes than Schaub on any given tweet. These are the brains we're dealing with at Thick Boy Studios. Brendan is also apparently very sensitive to any criticism. Even people giving him constructive criticism, he writes off as haters. He's also very negative about the Joe Rogan crew in Texas, like how he hates Shane Gillis, saying he doesn't want to suck on the teat of Joe like those guys.
It's a penis.
But to be fair to him, he already sucked it dry years ago. One of the dumbest things that Mark exposed about Brendan was that he pees in the sink. Apparently, there's a sink in the middle of Thick Boy Studios that Brendan pisses in every day, multiple times a day.
Dude, nothing makes me happier than peeing in a sink. I pee in the sink. Listen, there's nothing more satisfying to me when I pee in the sink. I pee in sinks all the time. Me too. I love it. Matter of fact, I feel like
Isn't that law? Okay.
Hell's Angel.
Is that not the most disgusting thing you've ever heard? He was also confronted by notorious germaphobe Howie Mandel about this when for some reason he was on his podcast.
Don't go to the bathroom there because you piss in the sink. What? They said that you said this out loud.
Wait,
Does he piss in the sink
don't
here?
go to, I've done it maybe once.
Okay, but
I mean,
so that was the
it
whole
an
thing.
emergency.
Nobody's talking about the
Yeah,
fight.
so
Everybody was
they-
saying, Howie, how are you going to go there? He pisses in the sink. Brendan talked about he pissed in the sink.
I had to pee in the sink one time. It was a state of emergency.
But even worse than the sink pissing was Brendan being exposed for being an Adderall addict. Actually, by his own admission, he bought Adderall off the dark web. He said he does 90 to 120 milligrams a day.
Just got off Adderall.
Yeah, that's actual math, right? Yes.
About 3 milligram Adderalls a day for.
You
a
take
year.
10. You take 10. You're fucked. That's a lot. You take 10.
That's a lot. I took 3 throughout the day. Now, if I had stand up, I'd take another. What did you get off of it? Just stop doing it. I was like, oh, you got a problem. I stopped. I went cold turkey, and then
How long has it been? About
It's
a day.
been
All days.
3 hours. No, it's probably been over 2 months now.
Did you go to a doctor and they like for
No, I was
psychiatric
buying
help?
it.
No, he doesn't go
dark
to the
web.
doctor.
Dark web. No, don't do that. Don't say it.
Now, if this is true, which I
Oh,
will
they
admit,
licked.
there's a good chance it isn't, that is insane. Like, not even brag about insane. Like, you have a fucking problem if you're doing 90 to 120 milligrams of Adderall per day, not prescription. To put that in perspective, look at the average dose for Adderall. Besides him being a liar, another reason I'm skeptical of this is because he said he quit cold
Probably lying then.
turkey, which off this dose of Adderall is basically impossible. What we do have empirical evidence of, however, is Brendan's alcoholism.
Guy,
We're
and
drinking the Kool-Aid.
David
and you're
Koresh.
drinking whiskey?
Maybe.
Oh, damn,
Are you
bro.
triggered?
Well, look, I will say this.
Are you triggered?
I'm doing better than that.
But you have alcoholism.
Who's drinking whiskey this morning?
Because it's so annoying.
Who's drunk? This guy's drunk.
He drinks on every single show, no matter the time of day of the week, whether he has to pick his kids up from jujitsu after. He's also fully addicted to nicotine and leaves his nicotine pouches on the floor for the cleaning staff to pick up at night.
Nicotine's good for your brain.
Yes, that's why I started. Nicotine's good for your brain.
And I
That's
feel
the thing they found with like smokers, like our grandparents shit that were dying from smoking. They found out none of them had dementia or like brain issues.
Because they all died.
And if you thought he had
Yes,
any
he could.
self-awareness about these addictions, he's much like Bert Kreischer. Complete denial at every step of the way.
Dude, Theo, who's not here today, he called me this morning, legit concerned, because yesterday, you know, when I do my shows, I drink, man. I like to have a good time. He's like, dude, I know we joke around about intervention, stuff like that. He's like, but for you to drink on most of the shows, it's concerning. You're drinking to get through it because you hate it. I was like, Oh no, you
Yeah.
got you know don't
Well,
get
you
it
love
twisted. I absolutely love it.
Now, as I said, all of this was exposed by Mark, and you might think, wow, this guy's sticking it to Brendan. But don't go thinking he's some hero. Like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. Shortly after this, he had some kind of disturbing domestic stuff come out, which I won't get fully into, but it did culminate in a video of him deadlifting his wife's car as she tried to back out.
He's in front of my car. He's touching my car now. He's picking up my car.
Add in some
actually kind of a
allegations of
shame.
infidelity and domestic violence, and you have your typical narcissist LA wannabe influencer couple. The funniest part about this is he thought he would be seen as this hero for exposing Brendan, and as soon as the subreddit was done with him, they just threw him out. But after all this got exposed with Mark, one last thing, not through his account, got leaked, and that was Brendan cheating on his wife constantly. This was confirmed through texts. Keep in mind, this guy also has 2 kids, so if you felt bad for him about any of this happening, know that the reason he tours the country to sell 10 tickets a show is so he can meet some baddies. And the next big drama that happened to Brendan was, well, nothing. Not much, at least. Which honestly, despite what he thinks, is probably the worst thing that could have happened to him. While he was being universally gawked at least he was relevant. At least people knew his name. People were paying attention to him. Maybe not for the reasons he wanted, but at least he was in the spotlight. As of late, it seems the Schaub train has left the station. The only real drama is his co-host being exposed again for being a predator and a groomer, which is probably the only form of attention that doesn't benefit Schaub. And if these allegations are true, Chris D'Elia is a fucking monster. But back to Brendan.
So you do that History Channel show, Hunting Hitler.
That was fun.
Did you ever find Hitler?
Yeah, so he died.
In recent times, he's been reminiscing about the glory days of the Comedy Store and Joe Rogan, and how those days are gone.
You know, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago at the Comedy Store is the Comedy Rap Pack. And we were the rap.
Now it's on your own.
Every show was sold out. Our names on the marquee. The days of
You cannot
being in the
get it out.
in the
I mean,
hallways at the Comedy Store and the Improv and the Ice House and Laugh Factory, where hey, podcast tomorrow. Yeah, podcast tomorrow. Those days are gone. I used to pull up and Rogan would pull up in his Porsche and we'd park next to each other. We'd talk shop about the cars and what's next. And then Santino would pull up and we'd talk to him and Chris D'Elia, and then Brian would pull up and Bobby Lee and Theo.
But unfortunately, he's in denial about everything, and I seriously doubt he'll ever lean into anything that might save his career. But the worst part about this, Brendan literally has nothing to fall back on, because he's never built something from nothing. He's always had a boost in whatever he's done. Fighting, he had The Ultimate Fighter. Podcasting and comedy, he had Joe Rogan. Being able to attract big names, he was on Showtime. He's never going to be that UFC fighter with a super successful podcast again. He didn't get fans from his stand-up, he got fans from Joe Rogan. So when these people leave, Brendan is done. It's unfortunate, but I think the only way he could save this is if he literally changed his entire personality, which, knowing Brendan, that's never going to happen.
That's happening. That's everything.